Oh, what's up, faithful agents? Welcome back to another episode of the Faithful Agent Podcast. We have an incredible guest for you today. I'm so excited for you to meet her. But before we do, here we go again, Rebecca. Let me read this week's Christian dad joke. I actually think this is funny, which sometimes I don't. So I'm excited for this one. All right. Adam wakes up and finds Eve counting his ribs. And Adam says, "What are you doing?" And Eve replies, "I just want to make sure there's no other woman in your life." That's actually funny.
One's
I
good.
like that. That's good. Again, as I told Rebecca and audience knows, I waste so much time trying to find a joke I haven't heard. But I like that one. That was actually really fun. I'm gonna keep that one. And for our audience members, I was telling Rebecca, my wife Rachel always says, "Look, you can say the same joke if it was 50 episodes ago, they won't remember." And I'm like, "But I remember." So if
Mhm.
any of you listening remembers the joke from 50 episodes ago, please text me. If not, I'm just going to keep using those and we're going to recycle. We'll see how that goes. But Rebecca Del Pozo, I am so glad that you're here. I'm excited for what you have to share and what the Lord's put on your heart for us. So I'm just going to jump right in, Rebecca. Of course, introduce yourself, but I want to start with your new book, Stop Winging It. You've got 3 books, right? But I want to start with that one, Stop Winging It. Tell me why you wrote that book, what that book is for, and we're going to unpack from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Garrett. Stop Winging It. The subtitle is Don't Accept Your Life, Lead It.
Hmm.
And it came from a quote from one of my mentors and coaches, John Maxwell. When I was a brand new baby real estate agent, I read his book, Failing Forward. Have you read that book?
I have not.
It is so good. And it was just on this premise that if you're learning, there's no failure. And so when I heard the quote that was most people accept their life, they don't lead it.
Hmm.
It had me thinking, like, am I leading my life according to what I feel the Lord's called me to?
Hmm.
And so just because you can wing it, just because at times if you feel like you're flying by the seat of your pants and then you get it signed or you get it done or you win whatever it is, just because you can doesn't mean that is the most purposeful way to do it. And that's what I've been learning in my own life. And so I thought I would package it up and put it in print so that, my children, my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren could appreciate, where I have come from. So
That's good. I mean, the premise in and of itself is amazing, right? And it's a little convicting. So I don't like that very much, Rebecca, but it's fine, right? Because I literally was talking to my assistant, Shaylee, this morning and talking about how we're recording this in November 2025. Honestly, don't know when it'll come out, but that in 2026, like I really genuinely want to be in pursuit of doing less, but doing it better because I can show up to a class to teach and wing it. But that the Lord's standard is excellent. So I don't know that that's me honoring the Lord. I think that means I have too many things I've said yes to that I shouldn't have. So I had space to actually prepare and not wing it, right? So, I mean, we all fall prey to that. So talk to me about how do we avoid that? How do we understand what does it mean to be in pursuit of those things?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you just touched on it right there. There was a season where I felt like the Lord said, create a not to-do list. And I touch on that in the book. And by creating a not to-do list, you're identifying things that drain you the most, that you kind of catch yourself like, oh, I've got to do that spreadsheet again or whatever it is, right? And by creating a not to-do list, you're actually creating someone's future job description. And so that's what happened in my world as a real estate agent. I'm doing all the things, as they say. And if you don't have an assistant, you are the assistant, right? And so I just started creating all the things that drain me most and that I was avoiding, because ultimately that's what it comes down to. And from that, I was able to create a job description that brought Erin into my life. She was a fantastic executive assistant and director of operations. And so, bringing in someone because I was able to go, okay, I'm going to say no on purpose to these things and allow someone else into my world to help. So.
So good. So a couple questions on that, right? I am reminded in Proverbs, unless the Lord builds the house, the laborer labors in vain. One of my struggles, honestly, Rebecca, is I'll be laboring and looking and the house is not being built. And instead of saying, maybe the Lord's trying to tell me something here, I just keep going, right? And there's a part of it of, honestly, I just don't trust that if I let that go and I focus in on the things that are working, that the Lord's going to take care of us, right? There's a lack of faith there. There's a piece where there's a lack of, or there's ego there, there's pride, like, no, I'm doing this. This is clearly a good thing. And the Lord's, and as an example, my best friend Tyler and I, now this is not in the real estate space, but we started an Amazon business and we're like, we're going to crush it. And we definitely did. But we spent months on it, Rebecca, months and months. And it doesn't mean you don't got to give it time, right? All those things. But it was very clear relatively early on, the Lord wasn't building this house. We were totally laboring in vain, but our ego didn't want to let it go, right? Because our ego
Mm.
didn't want to accept that we had been defeated, right? Yeah, please.
Yeah, I mean, what's coming to mind is just like happy is the man that knows his purpose, right?
Mm,
And it's like when you're doing what you are called to do, there is a certain kind of grace and empowerment that comes from it. And then
mm,
the resistance at times or the things where it's like, "Oh, did I ask you about this?"
mm,
Like, I slow down and go, "Is this really what" I'm like, I am multi-passionate. Like, if we were to
mm,
kind of go through all the things that I'm kinda dabbling in, there was a time where the Lord just kinda brought it into focus for me, and
mm,
it was that they had to all be real estate related for a season. It
mm.
was like, because I did, like, yeah, Amazon,
Did you?
influencer,
Yes.
affiliate, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
if it falls under the umbrella of real estate of what he's called me to for this season, then
Mm,
I can consider it and move forward. But if it's like, here's me, but it's like way over here taking
mm,
me and my energy in a completely different direction, then
mm,
I have to check myself and ask, like,
mm.
is this what you would have for us? You
That's
know?
so good. Even in the not to do list, which I want to come back to, right? I was sitting down with one of my mentors, and this was around the time we had Amazon. I had a coaching company too, a real estate team, right? I was writing this book, and he writes them all out, Rebecca, and then he writes Amazon way over on the left. He draws a circle. He's like, I get this. What is this? I'm like, what do you mean?
Uh-huh.
We're great business owners, right? And he's like, this doesn't line up with anything of who the Lord made you, right? And so there are these shiny objects that even as believers, we can fall prey and be in pursuit of. Neither of us are saying clearly never do Amazon or whatever that looks like, right? But it's understand who the Lord made you. It's seek him in those decisions, right? You have,
Yeah.
let's come back to this not to do list because I love that idea. Now, you and I are fortunate. We have businesses where we have assistants and they're amazing. Not everybody, right, is maybe at that place in their business. So as you were building and you started to create this not to do list, which was going to be your future job description for the next person, how do you focus? So in this scenario where you don't have an assistant, how do you focus enough on the dollar producing activities when you do? As agents, we do have a lot of things we have to do unless we have support and help. How does an agent do enough or avoid enough of the not to do so they can get to the point of actually being able to afford an assistant and having the support?
That's a great question. And what comes to mind is it's going to be so much smaller than you expect it to be.
Mm,
So, like, what I mean by that is being so aware of like how you're showing up. Like, I used to describe myself as, I'm so sorry. I'm like just a scatterbrain. And like, and I
mm,
stopped describing myself that way.
mm,
And I would ask myself questions of like, why or where am I showing up in this scattered way? And
mm,
what led to that? And
mm,
so just some real tactical, like tangible things were like my calendar and having the use of a calendar in a way that it's preparing me and I'm ready for wherever it is I'm going, whether it's
mm,
a Zoom link or whether it's the address of the property that I'm going to meet someone at, or it's
mm,
these teeny tiny little things
mm,
that all add up, you know?
mm,
And so, a little bit about me. I'm dyslexic. I have ADHD, no
mm,
college degree. I didn't have any contacts in the area when I moved to, Tacoma. And I was in crazy amounts of debt. And the Lord, like, has led me to see those things as my superpowers now to connect with
Yeah.
other people.
Huh.
And so, if I'm completely honest, another small thing was I was over caffeinating.
Huh.
So, like, I would show up at an appointment at 12 or 1 o'clock with a seller, and I'd catch myself like just kind of jittery and excited, but
Hmm.
to the point where it wasn't me showing up as my best self.
Hmm.
And so just those little tiny moments of obedience where the
Hmm.
Lord's like, 1 cup of coffee. Now it's a big one. Like, don't
Hmm.
get me wrong. It's a big cup of
It's
coffee
two
in the
hands.
morning.
Right, right, but
And my Rebecca rule, as I refer to it in the book, is I have many Rebecca rules. One of them, though, is no caffeine after 12. So
Huh.
it's tiny things. Sometimes
Huh.
we're looking to make these big, major changes,
Huh.
and it's like, no, like what are the tiny little things that
Huh.
you can be obedient in
Huh.
that then help you show up in your in the best light,
Huh.
right?
So good. How much then, you're a master faculty, right, for Keller Williams, which is awesome and majorly, amazingly impressive. As you work with agents, how much do you think, Rebecca, is activities that we need to stop doing versus things we need to start doing? Like, do you feel like there's one that's weighted more than the other?
That's a great question. So, the first thing that comes to mind, so I'll just say it, is I feel social media. I feel like
Mm,
agents spend a lot of time saying that they have to go and like create the content and like be on social media and do these things. But if they were really truly honest with themselves, they're scrolling. They're
mm,
consuming more than they're actually getting on there to be like productive.
mm,
So in everything that I do, it's I set a timer. Hey Siri,
mm,
set a timer for 30 minutes. And
mm,
I that's it. Like when the timer goes off, I got to get up, get a drink of water and
mm,
go, okay, what's next? So
mm,
there absolutely are things that are time sucking agents out of
mm.
doing what their actual job description is, right?
Hmm. That's good, yeah. And then I mean, how do you even put anything in? It is amazing. We are in an industry where I would say the majority of agents probably think, well, I was busy all day, right? And so you do feel those things. I mean, every single day, if I have Instagram or Facebook on my phone and I go in there to post whatever, yeah, I'll waste 5 minutes scrolling. And so then I just delete the app, right? And for me now, the rule is I can't get on unless I'm on my computer because I have a
Uh-huh.
little bit more awareness if I'm on my computer versus I'm sitting there on my phone and it's, whatever, just doom scrolling, I guess, whatever it's called. Uh, but there's things like that, right? Where we are given something that is numbing us, right? When you're in there scrolling, you're there to numb, not learn. So if you were there,
Right.
most of the time, if you were there to learn, if you were there to engage, to your point, that's okay. That's good, right? But most of us are there just to numb or avoid work or whatever it is, right? So if you have this not to do list, walk me through. Are we putting things on there like social media? How do I know what goes on there? Because most agents, as social media as an example, would say, but I have to, right? I should be. And how do we distinguish what is a necessary component versus what's something we just feel like we're supposed to do, but we don't need to?
No, totally. And I think the thing that comes to mind when you said that is that we are like in this reactive state more than we realize, right?
Huh.
And so, like, one of the things I did, I think it was about 6 or 7 years ago, is that all the apps on my phone, like all the social media apps, do not have the little red circle notification because
Mm,
even just that little, like, you're missing something
mm,
and you look at it and it wasn't even really that important, right? So
yeah.
I just shut the notifications off.
Mm,
And so I think it's setting parameters around whatever it is that you're doing.
mm,
And it's transparency. Like show me your calendar
mm,
and I'll be able to tell where the holes or gaps are as to
mm,
maybe why you're not seeing the production that you're
mm,
going after.
mm. So okay,
And
let's talk calendar. Oh, I'm sorry, Becca, please.
now go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So let's talk calendar because quite honestly, I'm amazed at a lot of the agents I coach that don't keep a calendar, don't use a calendar or whatever, right? And it's, well, if you don't tell your time where to go, you're going to wonder where it went, right? So how do we are in an industry, I think, quite honestly, probably the greatest opportunity for the average American that exists in our country. You're not even American, right? You're Canadian, and it's a great opportunity for you. I
Exactly.
don't know what that means, but it felt like it would be funny and it wasn't. All right. Anyways, we'll edit that out. Probably not. So, but for the average person, right? What an amazing, you don't have a college degree, you're dyslexic, you're ADHD, right? You've got all these things the world might say, these are challenges for you, Rebecca. But we get into the industry and it's like, really, it's my brain and my willingness to do more of the right actions more often that's going to get me to have a good business, right? I mean, the Lord's going to build what he builds, but I have to be diligent and excellent at the work that I'm doing. So we've got this amazing opportunity. And yet I think we show up more often than not. We just show up lazy. We show up undisciplined, right? I would say first, why do you think that is? And then how do we start to shift into actual productive activity? So why do we show up that way when this opportunity is huge in front of us? Why do you think we show up that way?
That's a powerful question. I feel like we have forgotten that this is a calling, not a career.
Hmm.
Like, if the
Hmm.
Lord has called you to this, like, I'm reminded constantly, I felt so inadequate when he said, "This is it. This is real estate is where I've called you."
Hmm.
And that, I boast in those weaknesses now because I can
Hmm.
tell you without a doubt the faithfulness of God,
Hmm.
that someone like me, would, yeah. I mean, yeah.
Hmm.
So if it's a calling, if this is truly what we are called to do in this season, then are we showing up and being purposeful with our time?
Hmm.
Or are we, like you said, just we're busy, but we're not being productive.
Hmm.
Like we're doing all these things, but we're not being effective.
Hmm.
And then it's just a matter of let me see it. So that's like within the first two calls of the people that I coach, I'm like, show me your calendar, take a
Hmm.
picture or a screenshot and send it to me.
Hmm.
And then let's talk about the placeholders that are there for the most important things.
Hmm.
And if they're not, let's put them in there. Let's put them in place now, that these are
Hmm.
the most important things that need to show up on the calendar, and that you're then bringing in massive, crazy, radical accountability that
Hmm.
you did the things that were there.
Hmm.
So, um, I think that that's it. When we just start
Hmm.
treating it like a job, like, oh, this is like, just a career, um, we're missing it.
Hmm.
If he's called you to it, then you've gotta you've
Hmm.
you've gotta submit your calendar to him.
Hmm. I love that. A calling versus a career. Right. Yeah. It's, is it I chose to show up and do this, or is it I'm a steward of this opportunity the Lord's given me?
The
Right.
picture
Yeah.
the picture I got was he's at the head of the table in this big
Hmm.
fancy conference room, right? In the real
Hmm.
estate world, there's a bunch of beautiful conference rooms that I've walked in and out of. He's at the head of that table.
Hmm.
I'm sitting to the side and I'm going, okay, like CEO of all of this, what would
Hmm.
you have me do about this? I'm
Hmm.
submitting my calendar, like I'm submitting the people I'm serving. What would you have me do with this? Is it like, so I'm just always kind of putting it through what he would have me do, if that
Hmm.
makes sense.
No, that's amazing. Right. Yeah. I love the imagery of you're in a board meeting, right? We are not the ones running that meeting, right? We shouldn't be. There's one who, and in a prideful way, I often feel like, wow, I should probably make these decisions on my own, right? And it's, well, I actually know the one who knows what's going to happen 5 minutes from now, 5 years from now, who actually already wrote the story. And I'm sitting here thinking, I don't even know what's going to happen. I don't know if it's going to rain or not today, right? I don't even know that. I don't know what time my kids are going to wake up, but I should be in charge. It doesn't even make sense. We never would get voted in charge if we were in a conference at a conference table sitting there with the Lord who understood all things.
You mentioned as a parent, many times we just feel inadequate, or at least I have felt inadequate as a parent.
Sure.
And I'll never forget when he's like, they belong to me.
Hmm.
They are mine before they are yours.
Hmm.
And so if I can just keep that proper order in check, then it takes the pressure off. I'm like, that's
Hmm.
right. Okay, you've entrusted them to me. Now show me what it is you would want me to
Hmm.
do. So when
Hmm.
things aren't going right in business or whatever else, I'm like, Lord, this is your project. Like you gave
Hmm.
us the green light here to do this thing. So
Hmm.
like you've got to find the tenant or find the property manager we're looking for right now, or
Hmm.
like I'm literally giving him that burden and going like, no, it's not mine to carry. I'm giving it to you.
Hmm.
So what would you have us do?
Hmm.
Um And it does. It shows up with my kids. It's
Hmm,
like, yeah, they're yours.
hmm,
They're yours before they're mine.
hmm. The idea too, again, the title of the book is just really good, just in general, right? Uh, but this idea of not winging it, right? Again, I think it's when we understand. I love that you said the radical accountability too, but when we understand if this is a calling, not a career, right? If the Lord has tasked us with X, Y, and Z, and how do you know He has? Well, you're doing it, so He's called you to it, right? Yes, you might. There's a lot of conversation. What am I called to? What am I not called to? Well, for sure, if you're actually actively doing it right now, you have been giving that calling. Doesn't mean you don't have another one later on, right? But
Yeah,
but if we've been called to it, if the master has uh, given us that responsibility, then we are being required to do it well, right? And what does that mean? That means there's a lot of things we're doing that we should not be doing, like winging it, right? And showing up. There's a great. I think it was John Acuff wrote a book called Soundtracks, and he said every day when you wake up, you either chance it or you choose it, right? You've
mhm,
clearly read that book, and it aligns in the biblical concept, right, of taking every thought captive, right? Am I chancing what's going to happen? Am I choosing what's going to happen? Am I chancing it by picking up my phone and popping open Instagram and be like, I'm just going to go there to work, and then 20 minutes later, without setting boundaries, I realize like, oh my gosh, I just wasted that time, and even to the point of. The reality is, we had a guest on here many episodes ago. Matt Farnham was his name, and he talked about how when he really started to understand that even in the nuance of his schedule, it was the devil's attempt to just keep him off mission for as long as possible, right? The
exactly.
small little bit there, the small little bit here, and the filling up of our time to make us feel good about what we're doing without actually being purposeful in achieving the mission that the Lord has set out, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
please go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, what comes to mind is just even like the granular, like the clients. You posted in the group not long ago. It was like trusting that the clients that we're called to serve are going to find us. Like the
Mhm.
Lord is going to create whatever that thing is
Uh,
that is going to divine appointment that's going to bring us and connect us with those people. And
uh,
yet we get distracted and we compare and
uh,
so many times it's like no, I'm going to go take action. I'm going to go and preview those properties. I'm going to get into action and trust that he is going to bring the right clients
uh.
our way.
So good. So let's talk comparison, right? Because you brought it up and we all struggle with that, right? It's not social media's fault, right? It just gave us a way to compare with every human in the entire world, right? Which is not helpful. But it's amazing. A couple weeks ago, I was sitting down with a mentor of mine, same mentor who had drawn the circles around, and was like, what is this Amazon thing doing? And he built a huge business. He was in engineering. He's an elder at the church I grew up in, was not real estate. But he had built a company that was $10 million a year in revenue, which is a huge company, right? Most agents will never come close to that. And he actually said to me, he said, Garrett, yeah, I always wish that the Lord would have made it bigger, but he didn't. And for whatever reason, that it was kind of offhanded. It hit me, Rebecca, because I'm thinking, wait a minute, 10 million a year and you wanted it to be bigger, right? Like all of us have this innate drive and ambition to make something bigger and better and all the things. But it's not about that. It's the submission to say, I'm going to show up. You're the CEO. You're going to be driving this train, right? I'm going to show up and play the role that you've required me to play. I'm going to try to do it well. And then if it's uber successful, quote unquote, in the eyes of the world, great. If it's not, praise you either way, right? Job, you give and you take away either way. Blessed be your name. And I think that there's this uh, tension within us, especially as believers, to think it's got to be bigger. It's got to be bigger. It's got to be this. It's got to be that, right? When really, I think what you're talking about is it's more about the pursuit of being excellent, utilizing our time well, being faithful in those decisions. And if we do that, the Lord will choose whether he builds that house and how big it is.
Absolutely. So I have to quote you. It was, I think, 5 or 6 days ago, and I screenshot it.
Huh.
And in the group, you said, "What's the point of climbing the ladder if it leads you away from your family?"
Hmm.
And I had said something similar the week before in
Mm,
one of our workshops, and I said, "Whose ladder are you climbing?"
mm,
Because so many times it's the Lord gave you a picture, or if he hasn't yet, you need to ask him to give you a picture of what it
mm,
is that he's going to do through you
mm,
in real estate, right?
mm,
Like what is the point of business? It's to
mm,
fund your life and to be able to be the extravagant giver that you've been called to be.
mm.
And
Amen.
so like rip that ceiling off of whatever is holding you back from wanting to grow and say, Lord, grow this business however big you want it to,
Mm,
and that you give me a clear picture of what it is you would have for me to do. And
mm,
then don't look at other people. Don't, because
yeah,
they're on a different ladder altogether, right?
mm,
Like and yet especially within like certain models of teams and brokerages, and you
mm,
see all the different pictures of how people build.
mm,
And there's this one quote that I saw, and it was like, the whole point is to get a picture of what it is the Lord has called you to do, and then be obedient in those tiny little baby steps that get you
mm,
there.
mm,
So,
mm,
comparison steals our joy, comparison steals our confidence. We've got to stop it. So,
mm,
saying no to certain things is not following certain people, making
mm,
sure that the input is correct in what I'm watching. And if I'm comparing to someone, or if it's an unhealthy comparison, then
mm,
I'll unfollow them. The whole like, what is it?
mm,
Unfollow for 30 days or whatever it is. You
mm,
take a break
mm.
from whatever it
Oh, yeah,
is.
yeah, right, right. Do you wanna take a
Like,
break? Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
I love a break. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
so
Mm,
I've just had these moments of where the Lord's like, "Yeah, what are you allowing your eyes to see? And if
mm,
it's gotten unhealthy, then take a break. Like,
mm.
stop that."
Mm, that's so good. I love that idea of Lord, give me a clear picture of what you want me to build, and then keep my eyes fixed on that. Right? Uh, Psalm 131, David is talking, says, I do not desire things too great or too marvelous for me, but I have calmed and quieted my soul. And they don't know for sure, but they believe the historical context is he's in a cave hiding from King Saul. He's trying to kill him, and he knows that he has been or anointed to be the prince and the king one day, and yet here he is saying, I don't desire things too great or too marvelous for me, right? Like and I think what he's saying is I've submitted myself to the Lord to say, use me for whatever you've chosen to use me for. And I've shared this before, Rebecca, but I think what you're talking about is equivalent or applies to this, is how when I read the story, I'm reading back through First Samuel right now. But when I read the story of David, right, when he becomes king, it's like he's got a cupbearer, he's got an armor bearer, he's got all these people, right, that are assigned these jobs. We often look and say, if it was a social media world, we'd all look and say, I'm supposed to be David, right? So I need to be the king. So how do I get to be the king? As opposed to maybe the Lord, and for the vast majority of us, right, the Lord has assigned us to be the cupbearer to the king, which is the Lord, right? But or the armor bearer or the shield bearer, whatever, those specific roles are. But we've become convinced that the story is about us. And I'm speaking about myself, right? I've become convinced the story is about me. When who is it, when John the Baptist is crushing it, right? If he was on social media before Jesus starts his ministry, John's crushing it. We had a guest come here, Rebecca, and he was also South African, so he had the coolest accent ever. So it just sounded better than how I can say this, right? But his point was, John the Baptist is doing really well. He's getting all the likes, getting all the followers, all the things. And then all of a sudden, his cousin comes along, Jesus, and everyone starts leaving him and unfollowing him to follow this other guy. And his disciples are like, yo, John, what's the problem here, dude? And his answer is, he must increase and I must decrease, right? And so it's this proper understanding that, hey, Garrett, this is not about you anyways. You're not telling your story. You're telling my, meaning the Lord's story of
Yeah.
redemption through your life, of how I want to redeem others. This big, broad picture of all of Scripture is about Christ. It points to Christ, as it does, and all of our life is supposed to do the same. But we get stuck to say, if that person has 1 million followers in a massive business, I'm supposed to too. And we forget that we've been given certain roles to play, right? That's really hard.
Yeah, absolutely. And like this, Mike and I just had this conversation like yesterday or the day before because we will hear certain people that are doing fantastic things, right? Like one particular friend of ours, the Lord gave him a picture of apartment buildings.
Mm,
And so it was so big, it was bigger than he could have ever imagined doing. And yet that was the path. And then
mm,
someone else, it was single family investment. For us, it was like the picture I got was that we own investment properties all
mm,
around the nation,
mm.
and that when they cash flow, we take that money and we are now funding worldwide missions to build the
It's
kingdom.
awesome. Mm,
And so, because so many times when people come, they either want your time or your money, right?
mm,
They feel called to something and they need the resources to go do whatever it is they're called to do.
mm,
And so I feel like as business owners, that's one of our gifts for this season is to
mm,
be givers and
mm,
senders. We're not going right now, so
mm,
we're the senders in this equation right now.
right.
And so um, and I was like, "Well, okay, so are we supposed to do that now? Like sell all these single family and duplexes to like buy an apartment building next?" It was like, "No, no,
Mm,
that was what the Lord told him to do.
mm,
What
mm,
has he told you to do?" And so like
mm,
that's my heart is that
mm,
if the Lord hasn't given you a clear picture or vision of what he wants you what part you play in that big picture,
mm,
that he would do that. So
mm,
that then you don't have to slip into those comparisons
mm.
and be like, "No, I'm just gonna keep putting one foot in front of the other. It's just red light, green light with the
Mm.
Lord. Like, I'm
So
gonna
good.
be obedient in what it is you've called me to do
That's
and
so
not
good.
compare."
Yeah, and to look and say, "That's amazing that you're buying those. I am really proud of you." Right?
Yep,
I'm gonna keep my ladder right here.
exactly.
It's, now I'm just confessing all my terrible sins, right? But everybody knows I'm a sinner, so it's okay. One of my struggles, Rebecca, is because I agree 1,000%, but I'm impatient by nature, right? And so I'll sit there and say, "Okay, yeah, I'm on board." And then I'll sit there and I'll have a good prayer time with the Lord and be like, "All right, Lord, show me." And then he won't that first time. And I'm like, all right, well, that was frustrating. Guess I'll just go do something, right? As opposed to the act of just chilling out and just waiting until he shows me. I'm not saying, to your point earlier, you got to take action. I'm not saying you can sit there forever. I'm not saying all those things, right? Whatever. I don't, there's scripture doesn't say stay for 3 days and I'll tell you. It doesn't tell us those things. But I think, for me at least, right, of someone who loves action taking, it is not often a submission over and over and over. Okay, Lord, show me what it is that you want me to do. Show me what it is. Reading through First Samuel, there's a time where King Saul and the Israelites are about to go into battle. I think it's against the Philistines. I can't remember. And they call Samuel because he's supposed to come and do the sacrifice before the Lord and call on the Lord and ask, are we supposed to go to battle? Well, Samuel doesn't show up in 7 days. I think it's 7 days. And so King Saul's like, well, I'm getting impatient. So he does the sacrifice, which that sacrifice, when Samuel gets there, he's like, what were you doing? Why did you do that? And the whole army lost because of that impatience, right? I totally resonate with Saul in that, in a bad way, because I'm like, it's not happening fast enough. I need to go do something about it, as opposed to sitting there, exactly what you said, Lord, give me clear vision. And we're going to have to ask him over and over and over again, right? But clear vision. What do you have for me? And give it to me clear enough that when someone else comes along and says, yeah, but look at this vision, Garrett, I can say, I love that for you, brother or sister. That's amazing. Pursue that with excellence. I'm going to be over here doing this. That's hard, right? For us to get to that point.
It is hard. and and we lose our way so quickly, right? It's just a slippery slope. And so this time of year we're talking and we're doing business planning. It doesn't always come in one big, light beam moment.
Mhm,
it
mhm,
it is sometimes just these little puzzle pieces that he's revealing
mm,
as you're being faithful in the little things that he's put in front of you to do, which
mm,
is to care for the people, the clients that have come into our world, to
mm,
be good stewards with what it is that we have. And I just feel like sometimes that's it. I'm impatient with you too. I want to see
Right.
these big, massive, bursts of growth and expansion. And the
Mhm.
reality is it's that we have to be faithful in the littlest of things
Mm,
and be in relationship with our finances. And be looking at where we're spending, and is it time to cut that in this next season, or is it
mm,
time to continue? And as business owners, that's our responsibility, right? To be good stewards. And
mm.
yet, in my brain, I will always go right to, well, if I just sell one or two more houses, it will fund itself. That will figure itself
That's
out.
right. That's
And
right.
and the reality is sometimes, no, it's that painstaking print off the last 30 days of bank statements, credit card statements,
Mm,
grab a piece of paper and go line by line and hold everything that you are investing in accountable
mm,
and just submit it to the Lord. Is this what we should continue investing in?
mm,
Not spending, investing. Because if we
mm,
invest, then we're expecting a return.
mm.
I'm
It's
really
good.
I'm really good at spending. So I've had to change my language around that and be like,
Mm,
no, I'm a
mm,
responsible investor. If I
mm,
invest the money in this, what is the return on this investment?
mm,
And so
mm,
it's being obedient in the littlest of things.
So good. And back to the imagery of if we're sitting around a conference table and he's at the head and the CEO, and it's not, "Hey, I'm running my business, CEO. What do you want?" It's, "Hey, Garrett, I tasked you with this, and I gave you this much time, money, skill, whatever. How's that coming along?" Right? And I have to give this report. And in his kindness, he's not just going to fire me, right? But like, if I were running a company and someone honestly was making some of the decisions I was making, probably wouldn't have a job for very long. But we don't have this mentality. I don't have this mentality of this submission in front of him saying, "This is yours. I'm just stewarding it. I'm trying to do this well, Lord. Please continue to grant me wisdom and understanding of what does that look like. And oh, by the way, this is your company. What do you want to
Yeah.
do with this company? If you give me vision," right? I was on a board of directors for a long time for a local pregnancy center as the chairman. Our job was to give vision to the director, right? Okay, maybe you're the director, right? A listener, and we're the director of this business. But the board of directors, whose job is to grant vision and hold us accountable, is the Lord, right? It is
Yeah.
scripture. It's all of those things to your imagery. And so submitting that and saying, "Am I on the right track? Please show me," right? Your job, we don't tell the Lord that, but his job is to grant vision,
Yep.
right? Because he sees the workings of all of the people's lives in the entire universe, right? Which they're only here, and we're not going to get into aliens. That's a different show, Rebecca. Right? We'll talk about that off. No, whatever. That was a weird comment. I don't believe in aliens, anyways. Okay, but all the people in the world, right? He's orchestrating somehow all of their lives in this big, beautiful tapestry, and only he knows how to do that. I don't. And so let him write the story. Let us be in pursuit of the story that he is writing because it's the best one, right?
Yep.
So I love all these things, and just coming circling back to the idea of not winging it. Stop winging it, right? Even in how do we not wing it? We go ask the founder, the CEO, tell me what should I do next,
Yep.
right? That's how we stop winging it. Yeah,
Yeah,
please.
and let's just be completely real. I'd been winging it for like the first 10 years of my real estate
Mm,
career because I'd started in 2003. I had three littles that I was,
mm,
taking care of at home, and after an unexpected divorce, I
mm,
was met with this moment of what now? And it was
mm,
then that the Lord said, "This will be the greatest reset of your life." Like,
mm,
be obedient in what I show you. And that was kind of like that moment for me of I'm not winging it anymore. I'm surrendering. I'm submitting this to you. The business up until that point, I had been. I was guilty
mm,
of winging it, and it was time to stop it. And so then it was bringing in the right coaching and the right mindset and the right plan of like how to now go and attack. And so that's actually how the Millionaire Real Estate Mom came about. As I
mm,
said, give me a picture of what I could do next. Like, what is
mm,
it? And it was become a millionaire real estate mom. And
mm,
I didn't know any at the time, and so I had to go find those mentors and role models. And then I just said, okay, I'll if that's what it is, I'll start working towards it.
mm,
And 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 then started, bringing people together and sharing, like, okay, what does this look like? What does a millionaire real estate mom look like? What does she sound like? What are
Mm,
you calling me to be, Lord? Like, show me, give me that picture of
mm,
what it is you would have me do. And so it's just these little baby steps,
mm,
tiny, tiny little moments of obedience
mm,
that um that we take, and then he's so faithful.
mm. So good. We could do this for a lot longer, and we'll have to have you back for sure, Rebecca, because so many good things for me to just stop. And, again, I honestly feel the most fortunate having the podcast because I get to hear these first and get to go back and listen to them again, right? Because there's so many reminders and resets throughout this entire conversation, right? I want them to go grab the book. I want them to check out what you're doing for Millionaire Real Estate Moms. What's the best way, Rebecca, if they want to connect? If they're like, I got to learn more, certainly go buy the book. That'll be in the show notes. But what's the best way for them to connect with you?
Yeah, absolutely. I hang out most on Facebook, Rebecca Del Pozo, and website is rebeccadelpozo.com for all things real estate, teaching, training, coaching. All the information can be found there.
Awesome. So good. It's such a blessing and honor to have you with us, genuinely. I don't do this, but I'm going to close our episode in prayer and just ask the Lord to grant us that wisdom. So if you're driving, keep your eyes open, but otherwise, join us in prayer. Heavenly Father, I just thank you for the opportunity to come and hear truth, be reminded of truth, Lord. I thank you for using Rebecca in that way. God, but as she reminded and encouraged us, I just pray that you give us a clear vision of what it is that you would have us build. You're the CEO, Lord. We're just an
Mhm.
employee. What do you want us to do? How do you want us to spend the time? And Father, when you grant us that, and that could take a while, so let us be patient in it. But when you grant us those things, Lord, may we be in pursuit of that, almost with blinders on, to say what everybody else is doing, that's
Mhm.
cool. But until my boss, until the CEO tells me to go in a different direction, this is what I'm
Yes, Lord.
doing. And I'm proud of you for doing that. But this is the ladder that I'm supposed to be on, Lord. I pray that
Yep.
you just give us that clear direction, that as believers in this industry, that we would be known certainly by the excellence in our business, God, but we would be known by the people who aren't running around chasing every shiny object that comes our way, but
Mhm.
that we act and live and move in purpose. And the other agents who don't know you, who might come and say, how are you living in such purpose? And we can say, look, my boss has
Mhm.
given me that purpose. I'd love to tell
Yes,
you about
Lord.
him. Father, I pray that you'd use us in those ways, Lord. So the conversation that we had today, Lord, may it have glorified you. For those who are listening, Lord, may it impact them. May you be praised in the way that we pursue the time that you've given us to steward, Lord. May we honor and glorify you in it. We love you. We thank you. And it's your son's name we
Thank you,
pray.
Lord.
Amen. Faithful
Amen.
agents, we love you. Go grab all the stuff about Rebecca. Grab that book. I know I certainly will. And prayerfully consider, what does this mean for you and your business and what the Lord has for you? I love you, faithful agents, and I will see you next week.